Okyeame Kwame speaking says we didn't invest in making hip life attractive for younger acts. Yes. According to him, a lot of young rappers in Ghana would rather want to associate with hip hop or asaka, as a Ghanaian drill, now than call themselves hip life artists because it is difficult to find a genre's name on digital music stores. He made these comments while interacting with Joy FM's entertainment journalist Kwame on X, who expressed worry about the lull in the hip life field. Wrote, I admire Okyeame Kwame's love for hip life and his annual hip life concert, but what is the end goal? Your people say hip life is dead. Even these young rappers would rather want to identify with hip hop or asaka than hip life. Okyeame Kwame explained why the younger generation of rappers may have abandoned the name hip life. He said although they may not use the name, technically they still do hip life. A younger generation will give up on tradition when it fails them. Reference killing the game. If they call their music hip life, how will it fit on Spotify and other streaming sites? People choose their business heroes based on financial and social impact. How many heroes did hip life create? Nuances, he intimated. Okyeame Kwame was then asked what was not done right. In his answer, he wrote, we didn't build a digital platform to sell our art. We didn't collectively turn our gifts into a multi-billion business. We didn't create a culture that was inviting enough to attract the young artists. We didn't invest much younger acts. We didn't invest in research and development. Is that logic?
Andy, this country, our problem is with leadership. Bad
what does hip life go to do?
I'm coming to the leaders of hip life now. Okyeame Kwame is one of them. It's important that he has been able to acknowledge the fact that they didn't do something right. Hammer of the last two. He's my guy. I'm a good morning. But this morning you go take Pepe. This morning you go take Pepe. And they respect you a lot, yeah, because you led the whole generation. Hammer, you take Pepe. You see, if you are talking about how hip life didn't survive and it's not on in the stores and whatever, it doesn't matter. Even if they don't have a category for hip life on the stores, yeah, popularize it. They will find a way to find a spot for hip life. Since the inception of reggae dancehall and dancehall music, dancehall has been dancehall up to today. Regardless of how generations change, still dancehall is still dancehall. Jamaicans are still doing their dancehall. They haven't changed from dancehall. Well, you can have urban dancehall with the likes of Shaggy and whoever, but you still have the mother name dancehall still trading on the web market. You have Asaka, you have this. Hip life changed or switched, or people lost the vibe and excitement for hip life when the likes of Hammer and Co announced that they have retired from music and they are going to sell bread. That is where the youth, you are saying, oh, do you know the generation Hammer led? Do you know the generation Hammer led? See, you have instituted a genre, a movement, and the whole country have accepted. Then you say, Mekoton Brodo, Mejai Mekoton Brodo. Now you just
yes.
So what's wrong with that? I just mentioned one of the pioneers. I was coming to Reggie. I said that everybody go take Pepe. So if they're going to blame hip life, these are the leaders you should be blaming. You should name them and shame them and say it in their face. So they will accept, Charlie, we didn't do it. Because the youth were looking out of Hammer came Kokesi, Sarkodie, and the king of hip life himself, Obrafo. Yeah? And many others. Out of one person called Hammer. You see how many generations of artists came from Edem, Tiny, Charlie. Then one day you get up to hear that Hammer say they go sell bread. It's a great letdown.
But man in bread.
That is why we are here. I don't want to touch on the business.
But if he has to feed his family, he has to pay school fees.
How rich and successful is Sack today? How rich was Obrafo? How rich is Edem? All these guys came to. Are you saying that all these guys got the fame and the fortune they left Hammer like that? Do you know how rich Hammer is? Do you know the car Hammer drives? Hammer is not a poor man.
I'm not saying he's poor.
Yes. No, so he can say that. And I make Hammer because Hammer is a major. In our times when we were coming up, I won't say that Hammer is older than me. We may be. He may be.
No.
What I say, yeah. We are in our 40s up there. Hammer of the last those days when you hear the last two, every artist wanted that tag on their song. The last two, yeah. and it made so many legends.
Why are you on Hammer alone?
I am
There are
coming to
lots
Reggie
of them.
and
Hammer,
because Hammer was like more of the, well, he was the main man at that point. From the times of after the times of Reggie, yeah, came Hammer. So Hammer took over from Reggie for like almost like 2 decades. If I stand to be corrected, but like a whole generation was in the hands of Hammer. That's why I named all the artists that went to Hammer. And when Hammer lost it for the game and for the culture, the direction of the hip life got missed. It was lost. It missed out because now nobody was, because he instituted a certain trend of instrumentation, a certain culture of the hip life. He changed the hip life to something different. A typical example is a song like Sarkodie. That's a hip life. Obrafo singing high life, and then Sark rapping hip hop. That's like an upgrade, like an urban hip life. That's how
all his productions were hip life.
Yeah, were hip life, because if you take it back to the JQ's times, these were more of what I would call, they were more of the beginnings of hip life. So Hammer, please. There is nothing you should say in this my time. Let me be done. Hammer modernized and urbanized hip hop into something else. Hip life into something more youthful and more exciting. And then all of a sudden, this guy just got up one day after all the stars I've made. It's okay. Finally, I've made everybody, so I'm gone. What about the next generation who were also waiting for that opportunity to work with you? You left them. You went away for almost how many years? Now I'm coming. So let me go to Reggie. Yeah, Reggie, I will understand him because Reggie is more of he was the blazer. He kind of started that movement from our time.
He lit the torch.
He lit the torch for the generation that came with Hammer. So Reggie, I cannot blame him so much because he set the pace for them. Now go to Okyeame. The reason why Okyeame Kwame should be blamed for this statement he made is because Okyeame Kwame has been more of he has really been able to survive time. For how many years? Almost for 3 decades. Okyeame Kwame is still rapping. Amongst all his peers, he's one of the most active rapper now. Kofi retired. I mean, he hasn't retired totally from music, but he retired from rapping. And all the other names you can remember,
he laid back into
all the names, most of them are now into different ventures. They've all stopped rapping. Kwame is more into business, is corporate, but he's still rapping. He's still in the music business. Now, come to the reason why I blame Hammer, because Hammer took over from this generation. At that point, you needed someone to change the vibe because we're used to the GQs, the Palongo hip life. Maurice Babyface kind of hip life, which was more of not youthful. It was more traditional to me. We had moved from a certain era to a new age. Then we needed someone to urbanize. Then Hammer came in. That's why I'm putting the blame on Hammer, because where Hammer took over, he should have continued. If Hammer had continued, we wouldn't have Asaka drill and all these branches of hip life taking over the place and being categorized at the Grammy instead of hip life itself. Why would they have a category called hip life? Why should we have something called Asaka drill instead of hip life at the Grammys? Why should we have? Are you going to say that
because they popularized it?
Because the youth did. The Kumasi boys were able to popularize the Asaka drill, and it's got certain international attraction. So now they see Ghanaian rap as Asaka drill. Is Asaka drill Ghanaian rap now? Is it what's happening now?
Okay.
Is what doing Asaka drill? Is what Medica doing Asaka drill?
Let's hear what the demos have to say.